Good afternoon, and once more, we'd like to go over week 6, look ahead to week 7, and in particular with week 7, it's very important for us to just review a couple of procedural steps about the paper, because this week 7 paper is the capping off of the course, and due to the quirks of our grading system, and as you may have experienced in other classes, we generally put the big assignment in week 7. So here it is. And it is worth 30% of the grade, so I would like to address it specifically. So very quickly, let me go through week 6 and then what to expect in the material for week 7, and then we'll get to the procedural issues. Okay, week 6 looked at ideas like decision-making models, uncertainty, risk, all those kind of things. And these are all very important things that we face every day personally or as organizations. And it was very important to draw some distinctions and to make sure that we walk away from week 6 with an understanding of some systematic ways to approach problems. It isn't all just seat of the pants. It isn't all we learn this from experience. We know from research and from understanding what models work in what situations, how organizations make decisions. And the other thing is to understand too that, at least very important for me, is to stop using the words data and information as though they meant the same thing, because they're really not. Data is the precursor of information. It's observed phenomenon. It's things that we can measure. But until we understand what we have in front of us, we can't make any decisions from data. We can make decisions from information. And what we need to develop is the facility and ability to turn data, those are observable, measurable points, into actionable, working information. It's a very important distinction, and one I think we lose sight of because the language has so commonly become used to interchangeable terms, meaning, that data and information are the same thing. Very much different, and that's the way I think I would like to walk away from week 6. Week 6 also was hopefully the last time we direct everything to the pandemic. I mean, you're probably tired of the pandemic itself, and you're probably tired about writing about it. But if you are looking into a situation that deeply affected organizational design, organizational theory, organization development, it's that. It's particularly that. And what's interesting is it's not done. And even after the pandemic winds itself down scientifically, it will have not wound itself down organizationally. We'll still be doing things much differently, and even in ways now towards what we hope is the end of the line with this thing, we're still making changes. And do we go back? Do we go forward? Do we invent things new? It's all very different. Okay, week 7. We're going to look at a huge issue, globalization. And globalization, whether you like it or not, is a reality. If you follow the news, look at global supply chains. They're a mess. Look at global issues. They're very complicated. How many of us think we have an opinion about it and then find out it's not all that we thought we knew? This is a really, really important topic because business, face it, has become intertwined with other businesses in an ecosystem. And also, economies have become intertwined in an ecosystem. There is no one national economy anymore, as much as many of us would like to think so. There is a global economy, and how our organizations adapt and play the game in a global sense is very important. So the week 7 material, I think you'll find interesting. Above all, I think you'll find it timely. It's something that we need to understand and we need to manage every day, especially in manufacturing and goods and service industries that are providing things. It is extremely important, and it has affected so many ways. Our daily lives in ways that we never expected, and in some that, well, we're able to adjust to quickly, and then others that are just major burdens on what we want to do. So it's one issue I think you really need to pay attention to, and I hope people are not only comparing it to what you read in these texts and these articles that we give you. Keep an eye on the current news. It's there every day. It affects us. It impacts us. Okay. Now for the procedural question, and this is very, very important. The paper you will write in week 7 asks you to essentially summarize the entire course. It asks you to take everything you have worked on, the company that you have been following, the organization you may have been following, and use the knowledge and the information and the prior work that you've done to come up with a document that summarizes everything you're going to take away from this course. Now, it sounds simple, but here's the trick. What's happened before, and I'm sure this is not the last time it'll happen, it'll happen in future courses too. I want people to understand that according to the proper procedures of academic writing, you can't just take your prior 3 or 4 or 5 papers that you wrote on this subject and this topic, cut and paste from them, put them all together in one bigger paper and say, here it is. Here's this section, that section, and that section. No, what you're doing there is actually known as self-plagiarism. What you're doing when you do that is you have to make sure that when you take something, even though it's from a work that you yourself unquestionably are the author, that what you have done for this particular paper, which is its own entity, you have become your own source. And therefore, we expect you to cite and reference your previous work as just that. You have become your own source. We expect you to use your previous work to inform your current work, to guide your current work. And occasionally you may want to choose to use a short quotation or refer to a concept you brought up. But the one thing I really want to caution you against, it is not academically sound or acceptable procedure to copy large chunks of your own previous work and pass it off as if it was original. So the simple way not to do that is not to do that, okay? Use your prior work as a way of harnessing all your thoughts, organizing them, see how the course was built on a progression, and then follow your summation in the same pattern. It will serve you well, not just in this paper, but in understanding how to do research, how to do summative writing. It's a very important skill. So I want to make that very clear to people. You're not to use your own paper and just jumble it all together into one new one. Not the way it works. If you do have any questions about it, please contact me or perhaps somebody in the Writing Center, one of the tutors. We have that available for you in the course, but it's a very important concept. It has been a problem before. I don't want to be a problem for you. So therefore, let's make sure we pay attention. So if you've got any questions, please ask. Remember that this work is scheduled for when it is because of its importance. You do have this week to get it done. You don't have 2 weeks to get it done. You have this week to get it done because, unfortunately, the way our system works, grades have to be in almost the last day of the course. So next week, when we look at week 8, we're actually going to end the discussion on Friday, not on Sunday. So these are just some things to keep in mind. I thank everybody for your attention. I thank you for the really, really fine discussion we got going in week 6. A lot of creative ideas. Let's keep it going. We're almost to the end, and hopefully it would have had the outcome and the impact that you wanted it to. Okay, thanks very much.